we have two agreements. One is the ASEAN Economic Community, in which all the ASEAN countries are members, and this is a process that's been ongoing for the last, since 2003, basically. And people say it's kind of a more consensus-based, not very deep economic integration, whereas the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, which has just been completed in terms of the negotiations in general terms, is a very comprehensive, deep and broad trade agreement or economic integration agreement. So first of all, they're quite different. Now, what does that mean for ASEAN, who are members, who are not members? So there are 4 ASEAN countries who are members of TPP, which is Brunei, Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And their main gain, the ones who will have the biggest gain is probably Vietnam and to some extent Malaysia, because they don't have a bilateral agreement with the US yet. The biggest advantage will be access of market into the US, and certainly for Vietnam and Malaysia, that will be important gains for them. But it also means for the other ASEAN countries, it is potentially what we call diversion of trade and investment. Because of this more preferable market access to the US, it will take away trade and investment from the other ASEAN countries to Vietnam and Malaysia. So that's something to study carefully. And out of the 6 ASEAN countries who are not members, Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar, they are what we call least developed countries. They already have preferential access to the US market. So it's really Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia who will have to compete with Vietnam, especially in apparel, electronics, machinery, and footwear. These are the similar exports that we have to the US, okay? So what this will mean in terms of trade diversion and all that is something for us to consider. And furthermore, what does that mean for ASEAN, right? I think it should mean that because of what's happening in TPP, what we should be doing is to accelerate the process of economic integration in the ASEAN Economic Community, plus the one that is also ongoing negotiations. It's called RCEP, which is ASEAN plus 6, which includes China, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and India. Yeah. So if we can actually accelerate that, it would also be an added attraction for a greater market, right? To balance off this greater market access from Vietnam and Malaysia to the US. So in other words, that could offset the balance in terms of trade and investment movements. And in the longer run, what we would hope to see is that under a free trade agreement of the Asia Pacific or some greater umbrella or even the WTO, that all these regional agreements would actually merge and therefore there will be freer trade and investment flows between all our countries.